Hello everyone, I'll be starting with this topic, which is ester, and I'll be later explaining what exactly is this and how we're going to use this in our daily lives. So these are the basic information of what exactly is a ester. So it's known as liquid oil in normal conditions. Like if you see you see oil in a banana, that's also a kind of ester. And when you see other kinds of oil in other kind of plants, or sometimes even human bodies, you can also see esters. And yeah, it's mostly solid in animal body. You can see fat is almost likely to be solid. Or why would someone be fat, have a lot of has a higher yeah, okay. But it's more likely to be liquid inside of plants. Like you see all these oils coming from plants, those are the original version of actually these esters inside. And so as you can see, it has smaller mass than these like water, and it doesn't dissolve in water, so it actually floats above the water since it has bigger mass. And yeah, it smells good. So this is about how do we create this kind of esters. So first, you just add one kind of organic acid, whatever you want. And I have an example which I'll be later talking about. And second of all, you have another kind of alcohol, which is also whatever kind of alcohol you want. And then it will create some esters, including water. But you have to add this kind of catalyst, I forgot what. And that's kind of it's sulfuric acid, because it takes away the water molecules inside this experiment. So actually, it increases the speed of the reaction. Yeah. So this is an example of how it's gonna work. First is I'll put in just a normal acid, organic acid that you see every day. I think we have taught about that in the previous chapter, which is CH3COOH, and then I have ethanol on the other hand, and then it creates ethyl acetate, which is CH3COOC2H5, and water. And actually, that kind of thing, you can also see it as the front of this, and also the back of this, so it's really easy to recognize what do those things resemble. So this is a skeleton of how these molecules they look like. So as you can see, the white element resembles hydrogen, and the gray element symbolizes carbon, and then the red element symbolizes oxygen. As you can see, esters are joined by covalent bonds, meaning that they share electrons together instead of some kind of element taking away all the electrons, or they join by an ionic bond, which it's really hard to explain about these two, but I'll just take an example, such as O2. It's also joined by covalent bond because two oxygen element, they share two kinds of they share two electrons, so it means that they are actually joined by covalent bond is the same as this. So here are some examples that would be used in biology. So in humans, it's more likely to be it's mostly used for energy storage. For example, when someone's fat, you can see a lot of fat inside them, and those are also kind of esters inside, and which is I'll be talking about. Those are actually solid, and it's also the main molecule of cell membranes, which is you can ask me any questions for clarification if you don't understand the word, and you can just ask me. And this is really significant to the human body because it determines what will be getting into these cells and what can actually affect your whole life, because it's probably some elements they wouldn't be able to get into these cells, and which means that it's gonna affect you a lot by then. So it's also examples used in life, like normal life, not in biology or stuff like that. So for example, like cosmetics. In the ancient Egyptians, they just like put a hat on top of them in the morning, and then it's kind of fat. But when in the afternoon, like when it starts to be hot, it actually melts down. And since I've been talking about like it smells good, right? So it actually creates a perfume and feels that, oh, you're smelling really good. But I personally think it's really yucky, like this. Yeah. And like the most obvious example that we use is that it's kind of flavoring, because since you can see in rice, like you know there's rice and you put pork on it, and actually there's oil on it. It's kind of more tasty when you add some oil. And the last example, which is soap, when you add ester to alkali, and it can actually probably an AOH or KOH, these kind of two molecules, those would be able to like combine with both water and oil, so it actually brings down all of these bad stuff that you don't want to be in your body or anything. So yeah, here's the question, and let's welcome. So which one is it? Yeah, it's A. Because hydrogen, as a like we use sulfuric acid is because that it removes the water molecules out of the reaction. And so if they can remove these, it actually like increases the speed of the reaction. So if we use these hydrogen chloride, then it actually doesn't have this kind of, it cannot have this kind of the same action, because as we have been talking about since like in the 3rd chapter, like the teacher have been talking about that, right? It's one of the main specialties of sulfuric acid. Yeah, and the rest of it, it's more easy, so I don't have to run over it. So yeah, that's the end. So thank you.